Supply and demand. Supply and demand. Focus question. What are the supply and demand and how are they related? Who sets the price? Have you ever wanted to buy something but didn't end to getting it? Was it too expensive? Maybe it was a new product, such as a t-shirt with your favorite movie character on it. You might have gone back to the store once the t-shirt was on sale. Did you buy it then? Probably not. You'd rather get a shirt for a newer movie. Why do things cost what they do? When people decided to buy something, they take part in an interaction with the seller. Any place where sellers and buyers come together to go business is called a market. In a market, buyers exchange money with sellers for goods, such as toys, and services, such as haircuts. You have probably noticed that goods and services can vary widely in price. Even the same kinds of things, such as cars, clothes, or food, can be cheap or expensive. People called economists attempt to explain how prices work through economics, the study of buying, selling, and wealth. They use the law of supply and demand to describe how and why the cost of goods and services in the market changes. Supply refers to how much there is of a good or service. Demand indicates how much of that good or service people want. Supply and demand control the price of everything. Bear in mind that prices change regularly because supply and demand are constantly changing. This also works in reverse. Changes in price can, in turn, cause changes in both supply and demand. The movie with the t-shirt you wanted failed. Was it a great success? Success? The movie's property affects the price of the merchandise connected to it. Supply, demand, and prices are always changing and influencing one another from moment to moment. It turns out that buyers like you have an effect on how much goods and services cost. Supply and demand and work. Picture this. Your stomach is grumbling. A local restaurant has a lunch special on chicken sandwiches, 2 for the price of 1. What a deal! In this case, the price of the sandwich decreased and the price drop created a spike in demand. Think about the sandwiches in this example from the seller's point of view. Why did the restaurant offer the 2 for 1 deal? Perhaps it had a few too many chicken patties. It might have needed to sell them by a certain date to avoid spoilage. In this case, the restaurant had more chicken patties than people wanted to buy. This situation is called a surplus. When there is a surplus in the market, prices often go down. Scarcity. In short supply. When the COVID-19 pandemic began in 2020, the price of toilet paper skyrocketed. Businesses quickly sold out. Some customers hoarded toilet paper, and other people were unable to find any to buy. In other words, a common household item suddenly became scarce. In economics, scarcity is the opposite of abundance, a lot of something available. In general, sellers are motivated to sell goods and services for as much money as the market will allow. Sellers try to make a profit by selling goods and services for more money than they cost to make. Buyers, on the other hand, are often motivated to purchase goods and services for as little money as possible. The tension between the two helps balance supply and demand. Let's consider how this works. If a seller prices an item too high, demand will often fall. Remember those chicken sandwiches? What if you got to the restaurant and discovered that the chicken sandwiches cost $100 each? In that case, you'd probably decide to go somewhere else for lunch. Demand for the chicken sandwich would decrease as the price increased. If a seller prices an item too low, however, demand is likely to increase sharply. Imagine that you got to the restaurant and discovered that chicken sandwiches were priced at $1 each. You'll probably buy as many sandwiches as you could eat, and some for friends too. The restaurant could run out of chicken sandwiches very quickly. Neither the buyer or the seller benefits in the long term from either situation. When chicken sandwiches are too expensive, demand decreases. The restaurant doesn't make money, and the customer doesn't eat there. If sandwiches are too cheap and the restaurant runs out, many customers will likely be disappointed. The restaurant probably isn't making enough money to cover the cost of making the chicken sandwiches. Setting the price of a chicken sandwich in a local restaurant might seem simple enough. However, it's really quite complex. The restaurant must consider the price it pays for ingredients from suppliers. How much does it pay its employees? What's the cost of maintaining the restaurant, including energy bills and rent? The restaurant may also factor in the price that other places in the area charge and how much their customers are willing to pay. It's difficult to balance all these factors, and as a result, prices can fluctuate. Supply, demand, in the holiday season. The next time your area celebrates a holiday, look at how certain items like candy are sold. Before the big day, holiday candy is usually much more expensive than it is after the holiday passes. Based on what you know now about supply and demand, can you guess why? Both buyers and sellers striking a balance. Both buyers and sellers benefit from a market in which supply and demand are more evenly based. Balance between supply and demand is called market equilibrium. In the chicken sandwich example, market equilibrium is reached when chicken sandwiches are priced so that every sandwich sells but the seller never runs out. In this situation, customers are willing to buy buy as many chicken sandwiches as the restaurant has available, no more, no fewer. Now, let's think about the following situation. A band tours every summer and its popularity increases each year. As long as it keeps playing in the same stadium, the supply of available tickets to its show remains fixed. The stadium only has so many seats, and that number remains the same. In this case, the market equilibrium price of a ticket is likely to rise as the band becomes more popular and demand for tickets increases. How emotions affect supply and demand. Everyone has different preferences and values, which can impact their buying habits. This is why supply and demand constantly change the price of goods and services. The ways that buyers view goods and services also play a role in supply and demand. Buyers are often willing to pay more for something they see as valuable or cool. Each buyer makes those calculations differently based on their own personality and budget. Shoes, for example, can vary greatly in price depending on buyer preferences. A pair of plain sneakers is typically much cheaper than a pair connected to the celebrity athlete's name. Some buyers see value in the athlete's endorsement and are willing to pay more for the celebrity factor. Other buyers want to buy the cheapest shoes they can find. Based on their own values and situation, every buyer is different. How do you play a role in supply and demand? By now you must have realized how often you and everyone you know that take part in markets in daily life. Take a moment to think about the goods and services you and your family often buy. The next time the price of one of them increases or decreases, notice how you feel. Did demand for the item, how much you wanted it, change as a result of the change in price? Why would that have happened? When you buy something, candy or a house, you are taking part in the push and pull between supply and demand.